A body is brought out of the trunk of a car in the middle of nowhere and buried after being mutilated. The scene then shifts to a man named Jack, who is trying to hitch a ride on the side of a lonely road. Unfortunately, nobody picks him up, which he doesn't understand, but it seems that it's because there's a road sign that states to never give a ride to anyone on this road. This explains why none of the motorists even offer to help him. After a while, Jack, who is still all alone, eventually gives up because it looks like there's no hope. He decides to start walking by himself along the lonely road, but then he stumbles upon a car with a man and a woman fighting inside. The man suddenly leaves the woman on the side of the road with Jack, who is still very confused. After asking a few questions, she reveals her name to be Veronica, and she also happens to be a native French speaker who is fluent in English. On the other hand, Jack is from the UK, which means he can't speak French at all, so he is quite grateful to have someone who he can communicate with. You see, Jack actually came to France to visit, but on his way home, he got robbed by thugs who took all his money, his phone, and the car that he was driving as well. As a result, all that he has left on him is passport. As for Veronica, the lady tells him that she is an orphan who lives alone and plans to migrate to another country. The both of them continue to navigate the lonely road till night falls, and then they decide to spend the night in the woods. They start a fire, and Veronica shows Jack some of the autographs she's been practicing. The next morning, Jack wakes up to find that Veronica has already gone to have her bath in the lake. He joins her in the water, and after bathing, they continue their journey on foot. Along the way, they meet a man named Grizzard, who offers to take them for a ride. However, Veronica doesn't seem to like the idea. Grizzard is also a native of the area and isn't so fluent in English, so he decides to take Jack and Veronica to stay at his house first, and the lost foreigner can't refuse the offer. There they are welcomed by his wife, Mary, who is also fluent in English since she has lived in England before. Jack and Veronica are given separate rooms in the big house to stay in, and the exhausted Englishman immediately falls asleep. When he wakes up, it's already nighttime. Feeling curious, he looks through one of Grizzard's boxes and finds several photographs from Grizzard's and Mary's youth, along with photos of a boy and girl who he assumes are their children, even though he hasn't seen anyone else in the house. After dinner, Jack and Veronica have another chat when she tells him that she lost her brother when he got run over by a tractor while playing hide-and-seek in a field. Jack also shares a little, revealing that he needs to go back to England to be reunited with his family. Back in the house, Jack asks Grizzard about his children, but he claims that he and Mary don't have any children. This leaves Jack even more curious about the kids in the photo, but he doesn't bother bringing it up. The next morning, the house is extremely quiet, and Jack can't seem to find Veronica anywhere. He begins to panic, and that's when Grizzard appears holding a hammer, which is definitely scary. He claims that Veronica left earlier that morning and didn't tell Jack because she didn't want to wake him up. Jack finds this all pretty suspicious, but Grizzard convinces him that it's true by showing him the letter Veronica wrote before she left the house. Jack reads it and figures that she just had to leave, but then notices something off. The signature doesn't match with the autographs she showed him that night they met, but before he can fully put the pieces of the puzzle together, someone knocks him out. When he regains consciousness, he realizes that he's been tied up and put in the truck he saw at the start of the movie. Apparently, he was abducted by a middle-aged man named Delacroix, and now he's in the madman's secret lair. Delacroix gives John food, but keeps threatening to cut him to pieces at the same time to make sure he doesn't fight back or try to escape. After a while, he unties the rope on Jack's hand and then takes a photo of him with a camera before carrying him back into the pickup truck. He tapes Jack's mouth shut and even tries to sedate him, but just as Jack was about to get injected, Delacroix is distracted by the smoke coming from his lair. Turns out he left his stove on, and so when he goes back to put out the fire, Jack immediately escapes, going as far away as possible from the man's range. Jack eventually makes it back to Grizzard's house, where he finds the man and his wife getting ready to leave. He hides from them, and once they're gone, he sneaks into the house to search for Veronica. And sure enough, Veronica is locked up in one of the rooms. He releases her, but that's exactly when Grizzard and Mary return to the house. Veronica and Jack manage to run away from the house, but Mary and Grizzard quickly realize that they've escaped. At this point, the elderly couple begins to panic. Grizzard and Mary give chase and eventually catch up to the runners since they're in a car. At this point, Jack decides to stop running, but Veronica refuses to give up. She leads him to a cabin in the woods for them to hide in. But it turns out to be Delacroix's cabin, and he has also returned to the place. Cabin. While Delacroix seems confused, Jack threatens him with a shotgun until he slipped and was stuck in a sharp iron. Veronica then hides Jack under a tarp and stabs Delacroix in the chest with a knife for good measure to make sure that he's actually dead. Grizzard and Mary suddenly arrive at the cabin. Grizzard speaks in French with Veronica. In French, Veronica referred to him as her dad, and it becomes clear that she has been lying to Jack the whole time. Grizzard also lied to Jack about not having a child when Veronica was his daughter. Now it is revealed that Veronica was a serial killer who could kill anyone for no apparent reason. Veronica also brutally murdered her younger brother and mutilated him after they had just finished playing hide and seek. Apparently, that's what we saw at the beginning of the film, and that person with the body turns out to be Veronica. Jack is absolutely furious that he almost got killed, so he doesn't really care for the old couple's explanation. Mary is about to tell him the truth, which is that Veronica is actually their daughter, but before she can speak to Hack in English, Veronica beats her till she passes out. Now, only Grizzard is left conscious, but he can't do anything since he can't speak to Jack in English. As such, he just gives up and lets Veronica leave with the foreigner. As the story draws to a close, Veronica takes Jack away from the country with a happy smile on her face while Jack is relieved. Right now, he still has no idea that he's alone with a serial killer. In his mind, he's safe now, but that's far from the case. You see, the truth is that everything points right back to the road signs from the start of the film. The signs warning not to give anyone a ride are actually because of Veronica. Being a psycho killer, she tried to run away many times, so her parents put up signs to prevent anyone from offering her a ride. Since they also didn't want her in jail, they never reported the case. They also didn't want her to kill Jack, so they paid Delacroix to drug him and sneak him out through the port. Unfortunately, the butcher wasn't able to finish his assignment because Jack escaped, and so now the clueless foreigner is all alone with the psychotic serial killer. That's it for today's recap, everyone. But before you leave, let me ask, looking back at Grizzard's and Mary's approach to managing their daughter's issues, do you think they did the right thing, or could they have handled the situation better? What would you have done in their shoes? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you in the next one.